We're going to get right into the agenda. First item is lease negotiating and real estate committee. Dan, I'm not sure if you have or Steve, an update on the cell phone tower, if you can brief.
Well, we have a lot going on here. We just got this afternoon at 4:50, we got the sublease agreement back from Verizon's attorney, which I can flip to the group then. Cindy, were you on that one? No.
No. I don't have that.
Just sent it, so. So we just got it back from them. So that's something that we'll have to review. I didn't have a chance to look at it. He just sent it today at 4:47, but based on his email, there wasn't a whole lot there he needed to change or anything. There's just a few comments from what he mentioned. But I think the bigger thing would be, we have to work out the location for this site now. Which I know, Cindy, you had sent some emails, or they sent back a template, right?
They took their CAD and ArcCAD drawing and superimposed the storm basin. So they have another location that they're looking at, which is up here, this circle. Be just that little dot in the middle there. This is the basin. This is the second basin.
So essentially, they would just move it closer towards the houses.
Right.
But in his email, he said all the setbacks are all still there. And then for that water basin, is there an access road that was going into that or no?
No. So he indicated the basin, the access road would be shorter because of course it's further up.
Right.
I did check with Jim and Joe, and neither of them have a problem with that location.
Doesn't affect the golf course in any way.
According to them, no.
That's still all dead area. So that would be the next location. The only other, his original location was where that old house and driveway was on Nisley.
His original location was about in here.
Well, yeah, when he sent back that email that I had forwarded over to you, he had dropped a pin and it was where that house or barn or whatever was tore down and
About right in here.
yeah.
Probably why that's purple.
And then you had mentioned something that there might be gardens there, but I think where he dropped a pin was above the gardens, but when we got him over the CAD drawings for the basin, he came back with this, which I think is still a reasonable idea.
Is there a reason why the Nisley track square there is better or worse, I guess, for us?
Nisley Track Square.
Is that off to the right, like a site B possibility? I'm assuming that's Turkey Hill right there. Like right across from that.
Here's Turkey Hill. This is where the housing structure was for the township. Caretaker's house. Here's where the gardens are now. And there's a little driveway. Access drive in here. We created an access drive here for the gardens and a small parking lot.
And they're just gonna build off of that to get to the tower.
Right. They would just extend that. And
So
then bring it down in here.
why is that other rectangle highlighted? Was that they need that as well, or is that?
I think that was their second location. Is Dan,
Well, that's where he had dropped the pin, yeah, where that driveway was up there for the caretaker house, but I don't know why it's blue now.
Is that not a viable option?
Is that blue? Because that's where he thinks that the water basin,
Well,
that stuff is
that's
going?
blue, I think, because that's probably a viable option. But then I pointed out to him, that's not the rec authority's purview, that's the township's purview. And then he came back with the second map, which showed it down here. Because while there's going to be a basin in here too, I'm not sure why it's purple, unless those are potential optional.
Yeah, I
areas.
don't think that he would have sent that back as an option. Maybe he just misread the basin CAD drawings that we sent.
Yeah, because this is the connector in between them.
But we didn't put it there. The purple's not us.
No.
No,
Okay.
Because my only thing I'd want to clarify, I understand it would move over to the township then, which might make it a different conversation, but if they can use that rectangle instead of, that looks like twice the land that they're gonna have to use. If they just use that rectangle, would that be better for residents? Would that be better for the golf course? Would that be better for them? Because I don't think you'd have to build an access road then. You'd be on the street right there, so.
I mean, I think that we want to put it where that green square is before we put it over towards, Domino's there or the church. I'd rather put it on the golf course. It's kind of out of sight, out of mind than putting it right off of Nisley.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm glad that they were able to still fit it in with all the setbacks with the water basin. And they kind of already surveyed that side of the land anyway. Because they probably would have to do, a phase one and all the other stuff that they already did on this other tract of land if we wanted to go up there.
And the actual build out isn't gonna be any different there than it would be anywhere else.
Well, I mean, yeah, there would be,
They're not gonna use any more land.
right. They wouldn't use any more land. They wouldn't, if we moved it up to Nisley, they would just not have to do an access road because there's already one there, but. I mean, I don't think the access road is an issue for us. And it would be less, I mean, I don't know what's going in around this water basin, if there's gonna be like vegetation and different things, like it actually might work out just as a barrier. I don't know.
okay. Yeah, I'm just looking at the footprint, seeing if they could use less, but yeah, all that makes sense.
Well, yeah, they're just talking about that. The green square is the actual tower. And then the circle around that is kind of like their setback boundaries. So it's still not touching residential. I don't even think it gets off the golf course property other than the access road.
Mm,
yeah, it is closer to properties, but it's, I think you said 220 feet or something like that
Yeah, I'm just trying to find his email here.
to this back property line.
And those are all the trees off of the left tee, right? Not towards the green. I'm just trying to see if I'm looking at this the right way.
The green is bottom left down here. Yeah. Keep going, further down.
Down
That's-
that red
That's like the
line.
green.
Okay, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. So that's, yeah.
Yeah, so that whole area. I mean, essentially where like the green cutout is in the blue area there. That's where they were gonna have the tower. So they're just moving it. I don't know what direction that would be, east.
Closer to the tee box.
Yeah,
Okay.
still in that dead grass area that's, just mowed lightly.
There is some structure out there, isn't there? Is there a pump house?
Yeah, a
or
little pump
something?
house, but that's closer to the fairway. Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, I guess send the sublease out to the group and we can all review it.
I just flipped it over. All right, so here's his
I know you
email.
haven't had a chance to see it, but have they addressed co-location of other carriers?
I know I talked to James about that. He said that would go in there and it would be, this, what did I say? It was the 25% split or whatever that we talked about originally.
25% of what they get,
I believe, yes,
their fee.
yes. I think I had that in an original email, but I did not. Hold on here.
or a 25% increase on our fee.
Add language for additional payment for other tenants to the tower.
I mean, we don't need to go over it now. We can all take a look at it, but I just thought,
Yeah, I have to go through all these emails. But yes, there would definitely be something in there. I didn't,
something extra in there for us.
just to outline what it would be,
Okay.
correct?
Okay. And do they cover the cost of the access road and all that?
I sent an email to Frank this morning or this afternoon about the access road, and does the township need to have a separate agreement for the access road since it's on their property? Or because they're signing this agreement, does it all kind of work together? He hasn't gotten back to me yet. But I would assume that that's their cost.
Okay,
Yeah, I think they had already talked about that and they would just, I mean, they were, they would do utility boxes down that drive to get power there, but now they, there'll be less they have to go down. Tom, getting back to yours, the information that we had talked about, so tenants would roughly pay $2,000 a month to Verizon to cohabitate. We would get 25% of that, so we'd get basically
500.
$500 additional for each additional tenant. So that, yeah, that would be drawn in there.
We're looking at 22,000 a year.
20. I think I thought it was 24,500.
Even better.
all right. Any questions for Dan or Steve on the cell tower?
22.5.
What is it, 22.5? Yeah,
22.5.
so 22.5 is our base. Plus 500 for anybody else that would cohabitate it.
And then I'll put that language in.
They didn't.
It just says need to add language for additional payment for other tenants to the tower.
Yeah, that's my note.
Uh,
That was my note to them.
Okay.
Okay. Moving down the agenda, next committee would be the Finance and Operations Committee. We have not met since the last meeting. I don't know, Dave, if you have any update or anything that you wanted to discuss.
Well, I met with Gina a couple times, and the township, as you know, is going to the new accounting system. So we're working through some issues that's taking a little bit longer than anticipated. And we hope to have a little bit more of a concise summary available in time for the next meeting.
And I'm working on that right now. The budget to actual that you received, this week I have noticed a couple errors in it and I've been working to try to get that corrected and I just simply ran out of time. So I will email once I have a final version. I will email that and start giving you, once the software company can get the beginning balances put into the new system, I will start emailing that as well, but what you received, I have found a couple errors. So I do sincerely apologize for that, but I will email you a corrected version as soon as I can get all of the errors corrected. And then hopefully by next month, like Dave said, hopefully by next month, we will have everything into the new financial software and everything will be going smoothly from that point forward.
Thank you.
Will that include January, February, and March?
I can give you separate versions because
Yeah.
most of that is still in the Gulf.
When you have time, if you could get us January, February, and March, which is township revenue and expenses. And then we can go from there.
Will do.
Thank you.
Can we approve the budget report
I would rather you did not.
prior? I mean, can we wait until next meeting to approve it?
It's not really a report you need to approve.
Okay,
It's just the invoices you want to approve.
okay. Any questions for Dave for the Finance and Operations Committee?
Keep up the good work. Huh? Keep up the good work.
Moving down the agenda, action items, cash requirements report. Anybody have any questions or discussion points on that?
On there, out of the ordinary.
Yeah, I didn't see anything there. I will make a motion to approve the cash requirement report / invoices.
I'll second.
All in favor of approving the cash requirements report, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Approved. I'll move down to old business. Jim, I see you're on the line. Do you have anything you want to add for your report?
Nah, there's nothing to add.
There was no real report on the,
Yeah.
was there?
How is the staffing situation working out?
It's working out well.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for Jim?
No.
No new equipment has shown up, I'm assuming, for Joe?
Yeah, Joe's received all the equipment now.
Oh, nice.
It's working out well. Golf course looks good.
Yeah, the course looks awesome. Got the rain we needed.
Yeah. Anyone have any questions for Jim? All right, we'll move down to goals and objectives for the golf course. Does anybody have any discussion, anything they want to add?
All right now.
Jim, I've gotten some anecdotal feedback. Is the snack bar situation still unmanned for now?
It's up and down. Monday they had it closed down and nothing stocked on our side, so I sent them a picture. Next day got it stocked up. But it'd be nice, I told Kevin and Rod, it'd be nice if they would let us know when they're not gonna be open. So at least we can prepare on our side.
Are they communicating that with you?
No, not currently.
Yeah, every time I've been there, I have not seen it open, so I don't know if that's,
The downstairs snack stand?
yeah,
I played in the 2-man scramble or whatever they had a couple weeks ago. It was open for that,
okay.
but that was a later start. That was like a 1 o'clock start, so.
Yeah. All right, anybody else have any questions for Jim or on goals or objectives in general?
If I could just back up to the lease negotiation and the real estate, I did have on your online agenda, blue collar meeting. And I forgot to add it to tonight's agenda on paper. But we had a meeting with Rob and Kevin last week. Tom was there with me, as well as Diane, our assistant manager. And we weren't quite sure what they wanted to come talk about, but it was just kind of general overall, how they're doing, where they want to be. They seemed a little put out, annoyed by the process with the deck. They felt that they weren't getting what they needed from us. We explained to them that they weren't providing anything to us. And so there was an issue of lack of communication. So hopefully that'll get remedied as we move forward. They're going to reevaluate the deck situation, possibly make it smaller, trying to avoid some of the land development concerns that were expressed with the size deck that they had submitted the last time. They said their cigar event went very well. They'd like to do some more, as well as their anniversary event on the corner, doing more. Tom and I both indicated that the rec authority fully supports their efforts there and don't have a concern with going outside of the leased area. So they were happy to hear that, which is something else I forgot to add to the agenda. So what I suggested to them, rather than every time they have an event, that the rec authority would just give them a blanket approval to allow these events. And I would do the same with the board of supervisors. So that way they wouldn't have to come and ask for permission beforehand. The condition would be that they would have to check with Jim, get his endorsement on it to make sure that it doesn't interfere with anything. But basically give them a blanket approval to go forward. And maybe do it on an annual event, like annually you have permission to do events. But I don't know how you're going to define that. That's a tough one too. It'd be nice if we could just give them a blanket approval. But limit it somehow to maybe size, maybe area. They have some, I think they want to kind of expand and improve, and of course, that's to our advantage, particularly in a couple of years.
I think on some level, we'd have to specify the area where they can do the events that they are planning. On the front of the property, on the old driving range or whatever. I think but again, I think that needs to be part of the whatever authorization we provide them. I just thought of something else and it left me. But I think you pretty much hit the nail on the head in terms of what they had on their mind. Or I think there was some level of frustration, particularly by Rob, about some of these unanticipated costs associated with building the deck.
I mean, as far as the unanticipated costs, I mean, what were they expecting?
Well, we don't. I go back to what Cindy said. I think communication could have been better by everyone, let's say at this point. And I think perhaps he thought he was blindsided by some of the land development costs that he hadn't anticipated. They're a part of a project like this, that's all.
Yeah.
But we do want them to grow, we want them to do well, and they are doing well. So we'll help them whenever we can. That's the plan.
So for I'm just gonna call it the green space in front of the parking lot. Are they anticipating that they could use that a lot more frequently than what they're doing now?
That was kind of the intent or the atmosphere that we had, that, yeah, if something comes up, that's the area they would use. If it's something like a cigar event, a smaller type thing, I'm not quite sure where that was. If that was next to the cart room. Jim, do you know where the cigar event was held?
Yes, it was out by the putting greens.
Okay. I mean, the anniversary event was so successful, he said, that they ran out of food. That food was their biggest problem.
And was that by the putting green too, or was that?
That was in the front, the corner.
Cause I'm trying to think, I don't know that they'd have use for it all the time, but is it worth exploring almost like a sublease for that parcel of land until we have something else to do with it? And make that like a 1 year lease. And if something comes up that we have to break it, then, we have a conversation with them or we try to work that out. But as far as where we're at right now with zoning, we're not anywhere with zoning it, so that land's gonna stay raw for now. And I'm not talking about, raking them over the coals with the cost of that, but just say, hey, here's a sublease. We can make it very straightforward. You guys can use the land, within some degree of, like you can't host concerts out there or something like that, but the land is yours to use for 2024 and beyond until we find something else to do there. Like that, and I'm just talking out loud. Is there any reason they would say no to that other than probably cost or hosting events that eventually might not be long-term events if we end up turning that into something else?
Wouldn't another option be to assess them a fee per event? Come up with a nominal fee per event, rather than trying to come up with another sublease. Another thought, and Tom and I had discussed this before, is if they're gonna hold events outside of the building walls, there should be some type of rider to their insurance policy that makes the township an additional insured, wouldn't they? Because they're gonna be on township property.
Yeah, they had given us certificates of insurance covering the extra area for both events.
I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know that we need to charge them. We charge them.
But like, again, a nominal, you can rent this land for, make up an amount, something small enough that it's not gonna deter them from doing events, or nothing, and just say, we have a sublease with you, so you don't have to come to us, but it's gonna have all the stuff in there as far as liability, limits them to, again, like not doing, like a 3,000 person event in that front lot that might cause issues with Hempfield Rec or cause issues with the golf course, but have a sublease where they can use it as they see fit, and then we don't have to have it as an agenda item every month if they want to do anniversary event or a cigar event or whatever. So again, I don't know how much they're going to use that other.
Yeah, I mean, I
land,
don't think,
but-
I can't expect that they would be throwing events on a weekly or even monthly basis, but I think if we just said, hey, as long as you clear it with Jim, that there isn't something going on that they can't fulfill already, just send a note to one of us and just say, hey, we're having this event, just let us know, and we can continue doing the certificates and making sure it goes. I mean, discussing with them, I don't think they're talking about
Doing a lot of
a lot of
events.
events. I think, picking and choosing what they want, or, maybe they have a little summer band out there and just get some people outside, but
For the time being, I would suggest just an authorization. If down the road we think we need more somehow, and I don't anticipate that we will. I don't want to do anything to discourage them from having these events where they're going to be making money and profit, and we are gonna benefit from that over the long haul.
Yeah.
So it's just supporting them again and keep it as simple as we can until perhaps we need something more formal.
Maybe I can fashion something from our agreements we have to use the pavilion here. Just kind of extend it to the golf course.
That they'd have to sign every time, or it's just a one-time?
They would have to sign every time. That way we know the proper people have been notified. Maybe have Jim sign off on it. It gets filed here. Make sure the certificate comes in. Just kind of keep track of them.
Okay.
Same kind of thing that pickleball people do. They sign once and then they're good for a certain time period.
Okay. And then as far as communication goes, I know Mike was primarily the kind of point of contact with them, at least with the deck. Does it make sense to, you guys probably talk to them on a regular basis, but is that causing anything with them as far as?
We don't talk to them on a regular basis.
Okay.
Yeah, and and we sort of indicated to them that they should talk to us a little more than they do. And I think we made a point in the meeting to say that Cindy would be the point person that they should contact, particularly on this deck issue. And that way we can keep it going. You know, Mike's not available. We're all busy. I don't want to put more on Cindy's plate, but and I don't think she wants to put more on her plate. But I think that's really the best approach right now. They can certainly come to any one of us at any time, I think.
And just correct me if I'm wrong, if they did the deck here or if they did it West Hempfield or anywhere, it was the size of the deck that was causing. So it doesn't matter anywhere locally.
Well, here, the township rec authority have to do the same procedures that residents have to do. That's not necessarily the case in other municipalities. They get waivers and they kind of do what they want.
Okay.
The problem is that we had very general plans to start with. Then there was all of a sudden more detailed plans, which we asked for. And then we discovered all of a sudden that they were putting a concrete foundation and wall right where all the stormwater goes down through. So they were to blame, we were to blame. There was just lack of communication.
I think it might be worth the committee reaching back out to them on the deck and maybe give them a timeline of if this is what you want to go forward with, here are the steps. Because I remember that something had to go to another board or another meeting, which then that was after we approved it. It had to go somewhere else. And then I think it had to go to the Board of Supervisors then before they could do anything, right?
Right.
So that's potentially 2 months worth of process just on the approval before they would ever break ground.
That's what I was thinking too. So are we getting close to a date where they need to have brought stuff to us? So we can move it forward.
What we
next
told,
spring?
I don't think we're there yet, but I think the pace of which the communication has gone back and forth.
what we told them was, and we had Nate Sturgis, our director of planning, in the room. What we told them was because at this point, he's gun shy, he doesn't want to start it again. They put $50,000 into it. They're concerned. If they decide to start again, first person they need to talk to is Nate. And so that he understands the full concept of the project so that he can guide them. If it's a certain size, if they get rid of the concrete, if they do different piers, those all things change what you have to do. So maybe he can guide them into a path that there's less required from the township.
They spent 50,000 just on the plans.
That's what he told us.
Well, I'm sure there were some engineering charges that he hadn't thought
Anticipated,
of.
yeah.
But yeah, and you know, he should avail himself of the township. I mean, we'll do for him what we do for any other person that comes in here looking to build or make any kind of a project. You know, we help people as much as we can. But at the end of the day, they got to come to us, if you will. We're not going to reach out, or we don't want to be promoting a project
Yeah.
for the most part.
I just think reminding them of the process and just more or less put the ball in their court and say, hey, you already know this, but it's July, almost August. If it's going to take us 2 months of approval, that's if we approve whatever they send us. If we have questions, then that pushes it back a month. So if you want to have this open, we're not pushing it, but if you want to have this open by a certain date, you know, we're already looking at whatever your construction time is, plus I'm going to say a buffer of 2 to 4 months of approval. So if you are thinking about it, keep that in mind and just have just make sure that they know that. So we don't get into a meeting in February and they're ready to break ground in March so they can be open before the golf season starts and were the same thing that happened last year in 2020, the beginning of this year, so. I'm sure they know that, but just maybe a friendly reminder, so it doesn't look like we're slowing the project down, so. All right. So I guess that's new business still. Does anybody have any other new business to discuss or anything on blue collar? Minutes from the previous meeting. Everyone have a chance to look at the minutes. Any questions or comments on the minutes? I would ask for a motion to approve the minutes from June 28th.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Minutes are approved. Is there any public comment?
All that's on Zoom is staff.
No executive session is needed.
Now, the only thing that I would have just go back into this lease with Verizon. So what would be our next step here? We can review it. I'm looking at it now. The notes that he has. I only have one concern, and it is a note about subleasing to other carriers. Which I think we want language in there saying what the percentage is of the sharing. He just said here in the case where Verizon does not own the tower, Verizon would not be subleasing to other carriers. Maybe he's misunderstanding what the point of that was, or if we just want to have that percentage in there, I think.
You have a copy of the lease. It's on your agenda sheet.
The one that he just sent.
I got it off your email.
But that's like the only comment really. The other thing is just commencement date, effective date. He just wants them all concurrent. Which kind of makes sense to me. But do we send this to Frank just to review?
I think you probably should.
But yeah, there's not a whole lot of. Not a whole lot of markups, but I guess if we could all just at least look at it and respond before I send it to Frank with our thought. I can send him one email, get it to him, he can
With
look at it.
questions and
come back,
comments from
yeah.
everybody, yeah. That's a good
And
idea.
just Get that ball almost finished rolling here. And then do we have, or I guess you said you're waiting to hear back from Frank on the access road?
Right.
Because I know for them, the only thing that James had told me was that they're kind of in a similar boat where they have grant money or wherever it's coming from, but they have deadlines to secure places to use it, let's say.
Which are what?
I didn't get that date out of him. I think, it could have been he's just trying to push us, but obviously the pushing didn't work because it took a little while to get here, but
I did have it on the board's agenda just to familiarize them with the agreement so that they're ready to act. They do have a meeting on the 16th of August, so they could act then, or would be the first meeting in September, which would be after your meeting in August.
I looked on the calendar, by the way. I don't see a meeting scheduled in November.
On the website.
Yeah. I may have missed it, but
On November, I think it's a Tuesday
okay, maybe I missed it.
because of the holiday. But it may not be there. I'll double check.
and the only other thing, like this water basin, are we gonna have to do anything with
Well, that's another
like our
question because.
land lease?
Yeah, does the township now need to get authorization from the rec authority to allow that? Because you control that land. That's a question I've got to ask our attorney or Frank.
I mean, obviously, I don't think that we're gonna have any pushback. But
Just to keep it,
just didn't, yeah, I
We
mean,
could authorize that with two votes at the same time or,
yeah.
well, I mean, I didn't know about it until last Thursday, so.
yeah, neither did I.
Um,
It's one of those things.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor of adjournment, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jim.
Have a good night.
You too.
Thank you, you too.
They say how long it would take for the construction? Like how long does it take to put up a cell tower?
Construction won't be very long. It's the